I thought this journal entry I'd talk about this. This is my radiation mask, and they would use it and they'd put it, and I'd be laying down on a table, and they'd connect this part back here to the table. I hang it up on my wall actually, which is, just to think it looks kind of cool. So just wanted to show you that. I don't remember when I was actually told I had cancer. I don't think I knew exactly what cancer was. It's one of those things you always think, oh no, that's not going to happen to me. That's other people. But it did happen to me. We gotta go because we're kind of in a rush to get down to the hospital. So, bye.
Most parents would go to any lengths to preserve the life of their child. But at this top American cancer hospital, when treatments are failing and a child wants to stop, they believe that parents should listen.
Have your shirt up.
If Matthew came to us tomorrow and said, I don't want to do this anymore, then we wouldn't do that. We would honor his wishes. He should have the ultimate say over his life, even though he's a child. It's his life.
I love this picture. She just went out into the...
Well, Connie was my babysitter.
Yeah.
She was washing the car one day, and I was just like, stripped down and jumped in the bucket.
And there she is. Just having a great time.
Jory Zemmel is 13. She's had bone cancer for 2 years. So far, all treatments have failed, and the cancer has spread to her lungs.
I had 3 chemos, I had a hip replacement, then I had 3 more high dosage chemos, but I've relapsed 3 times in my lungs. I do feel like just giving up sometimes. I've already told my mom that if I do die, which I don't plan on doing or anything, that I want my ashes sprinkled in Crested Butte, Colorado, my favorite place. And I mean, we talk about that, or we're open to that possibility. And so we talk about that sometimes.
All right, watch Tubby goes underwater, Mars. You ready?
Is it a toy, Mars?
Yeah.
Get it, Tubby.
I mean, my parents both want me to get better so badly. My mom is more laid back about things, and she's more calm and low-key about it.
Get me some more information on it. And
My dad, he's really determined. He gets really, excited and just starts pacing, and, we've got to find a solution and everything. That's his way of contributing and helping, and that's what makes him feel useful,
Twice a week, Jory travels 100 miles to Houston in Texas for treatment at the largest medical center in the world. At its core is the MD Anderson Cancer Center, one of America's leading cancer hospitals. In the pediatric department, doctors and psychologists work with patients and parents to try to ensure that children are included in discussions and decisions about their cancer.
It's critical that Jory has some say about what is going on. It's something that she can have a little control over. We don't know the outcome, but she can have a little control over the decision-making process along with us.
the family is kind of like a team with everyone giving input. Everybody exchanging ideas.
sometimes it's a dilemma. Sometimes we don't want to tell her really everything that's going on because it's just so tough. But she wants to know, and I respect that.
Well, if anybody has a right to know, it's the person that it's happening to. It's their body, and they should have a right to know, and it's their choice as well as the parents. But a lot of times kids know what's best for them, and so they should be able to make the decision too.
Some children find prolonged treatment too much to take, and if it's not working, they may ask for it to stop. It's an agonizing decision, but the hospital encourages parents to listen to their child. Juan Carlos Leal and his wife Josefa now have 2 sons, Emiliano and Maurizio. They had a third, Juan, who died last year. He was 10 and had spent 13 months at MD Anderson. Juan had Burkitt's lymphoma, a fast-growing cancer of the abdomen. Several treatments had failed, and he faced extensive stomach surgery. A cure was remote.
He was very scared about starting a very intensive treatment again. When I told him chances were very small chances for saving him, I think it was fair to let him decide to stop. I respect his decision. I always keep looking how he was feeling, just trying to think, if I were one, what will be the good thing to do? You don't want to keep someone suffering if the end is going to be the same. And that situation makes it easy for us to hear one and stop.
With the support of his family, Juan stopped treatment and went home. He died a month later.
We all have to die with dignity and feeling the best that we can feel at that moment. You have to think about it and talk about it in order to have a peace of mind the rest of your life.
Let me call the kitchen.
Hope we don't set off the smoke alarm.
Yeah, we don't want the fire department up here.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Doctor's handwriting.
Yeah.
Jory's life revolves around hospital treatments, even on her birthday. She's getting MTPPE, an experimental immune-boosting drug on which she's pinned her hopes.
So why did you have that done?
Well, Jory, you've had a lot of people discussing your situation.
Hey, Jory.
Hi.
And you're gonna get
Jory's oncologist is Dr. Norman Jaffe.
Listen, we've had a look at your x-rays. It may be helpful to you if you just have a look at it, and it's not to just alarm you, but just to show you things.
So this is your right side here. And the black part is the lung.
Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of normal lung. The problem that we have is this stuff here, kind of that whitish stuff on that side and that side. So that is some tumor still that we've got to figure out how best to shrink and get out of there. So this one would be real easy. That would be a chip shot. We could go in there and do a surgery and take that out real easy. The problem is this side, it's really close to some bigger things that we can't really operate around. So we can't really go in there and do a surgery to get all that cleaned out.
And fortunately, there is a way I think that we can do that, which will not only hopefully shrink it, but get rid of the pain and that's radiation therapy. And let's try a liposome vincristine on this lesion, introducing what we would call a two-pronged attack. What this means, however, Jory, is that we should stop the empty PPE as soon as possible, because the liposome vincristine can only be introduced after a period of time, and we have to wait a week before we can do that. The situation is very grave. In fact, review of the CAT scans demonstrated to me very clearly that the tumors were inoperable. Under the circumstances, I would imagine that the time frame for survival is about 6 months. I feel the grief and the loss that parents feel. My little girl, her name was Dina. She had a congenital heart problem, and we had her for 13 years. They were the most beautiful years of our lives. We have never forgotten that. These are very difficult circumstances for Mr. and Mrs. Emmel, particularly when they recognize that they're going to lose their child. I have been on that particular road, and I understand what the situation is.
Feeling kind of depressed today. Earlier when I was brushing my hair, when I pulled, just a few strands come out, and so I think I'm starting to lose my hair, which, you know, is kind of a bummer.
Matt Strickland is 12. He's had cancer for 2 years.
If Matt were to wake up and decide that suddenly he didn't want to do this anymore, it would be extremely tough. And there was a time when he did get that way with the last time he did this 5 days of chemo. By day 4 or 5, he just didn't want to go down there. He knew he had to, but he couldn't get out of bed. He was so depressed and felt so lousy. I just kind of knelt down with him and shared my feelings that I felt so bad and so helpless that he had to go through all this, and that, you know, I couldn't change things for him. It kind of made him feel like, well, you know, if that's how you're feeling, then I want to help you and get up and go so that I'm not making you feel so overwhelmed. So he got up, got ready, and we went, and he did it. But that was, you know, about the chemo. You know, if like in the whole big picture he decided he didn't want to continue, we haven't gotten to that, and I don't know what I would do.
Matt's mom, Sue, and his dad, Monty, are no longer married, but they both go to his weekly checkups at MD Anderson.
Touch my finger in your nose.
Matt has inoperable brain tumors. Despite aggressive treatments, they keep coming back.
Open your mouth real wide. Okay, good. I think he understands better than average for a kid his age. Yeah, I always say he's kind of my intellectual little patient, but he understands things. But also, I think it's harder for him emotionally because he does understand and he's so young. Okay, well, here are your blood counts. Actually, they look really good. They're actually more healthy than usual. Your white count's 3.2, ANSY's 1.
Well, I feel that it's important to be in on those discussions, you know, because especially like if I didn't know, you know, my mind has, you know, a real big imagination, and I could come up with all sorts of what ifs. That'd be more of a burden than knowing.
Will drop later. That's why I think we need those.
Not every child at this unit is kept in the picture. 7-year-old Ege Orhan doesn't even know he has cancer. Ege Orhan is 7 and comes from Turkey. Doctors in Istanbul discovered a tumor on his left shoulder blade. Ege's parents brought him to Houston for surgery and a year of chemotherapy. Ege's mother, Faiza, gave up her job as a university professor to be with her son. She doesn't agree with the hospital's ethos that children need to know everything.
Of course, Ege asked us, what's happening to him. I mean, with my husband, we decided not to use the word cancer because maybe he will lose his hope and psychologically he might be affected. So that's why it's difficult to tell him. Here, they see children as an adult, but he's not adult yet. I mean, he's a child.
And what I want to ask you to do is draw a picture of your family doing something. All right, you can do it however you want.
Psychologist Donna Copeland is concerned that Ege knows he has cancer, but feels he can't talk about it.
Children always know what's going on, it seems, especially in a very public place like a hospital. The thing that I want to know first is what his conception is about what's been going on with him.
I come to hospital, but here days are too fast. In Turkey, I went to school, learning. The day is not finishing. Here, I'm coming to school. Now it's finished. My mom says I have microbes eating my body. My friends have microbes too. And then my friends taking a chemo too. I will be hospital for 6 months.
If you keep things from children, you have no control over what they're going to fantasize, what they're going to think about, what they're going to worry about, and their anger towards you when they find out that you've kept things from them. Oh, that is a fine picture. Really nice. It's so detailed.
Jory expects to know everything about her illness, but her parents delayed giving her some bad news.
And what we had kept from her from Friday till this past Sunday night was that Dr. Jaffe had said that if we couldn't find anything that worked, Jory might be looking at maybe 6 months of living. And that was a hard one. It was her birthday on Friday. And we really struggled with telling her, and she was upset with me for not having said anything right away. And I understand that. I understand that she was disappointed that we hadn't told her right away. However, we didn't want to tell her because it was her birthday, but
you didn't tell me over the weekend.
And then we didn't tell her over the weekend, and she's right. We should have.
You should have told me on your birthday.
But it's hard to do.
Jory has 3 large tumors in her lungs that are growing rapidly and causing her great pain. As she continues treatment, her dad Brooke hears about a doctor with an alternative approach that could be used with MTPPE.
His name is Patrick Sewell. He's at the University of Mississippi. And it's called radio frequency ablation, and basically they use a probe, they stick it, make a small incision, stick the probe into the tumor, and then use heat to kill the tumor. And so this, followed by the MTP, might give the MTP an opportunity to do its thing. Depends how much of this tumor they can get out. But if they got it out till all there was were small little nodules, or maybe they can go in and surgically remove them. It's another. I mean, there's a whole.
It's not working, Dad.
There's a number of different things we can do, though, once we get past the most immediate problem, which is the size of the tumor.
Isn't working.
Yeah, but
Talking about
what do you think, Jory?
I'm just tired.
Tired of everything, probably.
No, I'm just.
She
said I've had Benadryl and I had 2 shots of demo
and the OxyContin.
The family decides to ask Jory's doctor, Norman Jaffe, what he thinks of their idea.
Brooke called a doctor at the University of Mississippi by the name of Dr. Patrick Sewell. He's doing this, and according to him, he's the only person doing this kind of, it's radio frequency ablation.
I think it's been done by several others, and I think it's been done for a few years already. And if there was anything substantial, I think it would have been published and would have been of some value. So I'm not entirely satisfied that this is the right way to go. In fact, I'll be more emphatic, I don't think it is the right way to go.
We want to find out more about this.
I've seen this before, and it didn't work. And I would rather devote my time, energies, and attentions to other patients, knowing that they at least have some promise in this. This didn't work before. And I think I have an obligation to you, and the obligation is to tell you the truth and to at least put you in proper perspective, and I think this is a waste of time. I mean, as you are desperate, I am desperate. But I will certainly not object to you doing it. Nonetheless, I do think that, as opposed to that, I would go the route of liposomal vincristine, and I've even asked Dr. Chan to consider the possibility. I will do whatever is possible to try and find some form of treatment for them, even though I know that we've exhausted whatever we have. I think to remove hope from an individual is to almost give an individual the death sentence there and then. I'll also say this much, that I think most children are very perceptive and they know they're dying, but they don't want to hear they're dying, and they would like to know that you are supporting them, that you're still trying to do something for them, and you are giving them hope. And I think the parents appreciate that as well. So as far as I'm concerned, I will not remove hope from an individual.
Hi, today is January 19th, and I was just going to do a little tour of my house. This is my laptop I got from the Make-A-Wish Foundation. This is my radiation mask to hold down my head. And this is the living room. This is the kitchen table. Got here to the backyard. Whew, it's kind of chilly out today. It's kind of a jungle back here. We're hoping on getting a pool sometime in the next year, maybe. This is the office with my lovely mother in it on the computer. This is Buddy. Say hi to the camera, Buddy. Hi. Buddy's been a great pal. His name suits him perfectly. He's been pretty much my best friend through all this, and he's just been really great to have. Oh, yeah, I know. And it's like he knows when I'm feeling down, because he'll come over and nudge his head at me or whatever. He's just been really great. We made reservations for our Disney World trip.
Oh, yeah?
We're going April 28th to May 2nd or 3rd.
Very cool. I hear it's fun. I've never been, but these big ships are supposed to be just incredible.
There's some cool, like the pools, like one of them was shaped like a piano.
I think my day is really tough, and I have a hard time. I just think of Matthew, and that puts it in perspective. I love him more than anything in the world, and he's my only son, and I hate the fact that he's going through all of this. But it's life, and there's nothing I can do to stop it. So I try to treasure every moment with him and be in the moment with him, even if it's for just a couple of hours a week. I try to treasure that moment.
Matt sees his dad Monty once a week, but spends most of his time at home with his mom and stepfather Rich.
Lord, we thank you for this nice weekend and ask that you watch over Matt and Sue as they go down to MD Anderson this week. I am grateful to be eating. I have been with Matt since he was 5 years old. I really have learned to not only love him, but to respect him. And Matt has learned to trust me, that I'm going to be there for him. I understand that he has another father, but that doesn't affect how much I love or how much I care about Matt.
Do you know what time you guys are heading down tomorrow?
Oh yeah, I called, and it's going to be 10 o'clock, labs are drawn, 11 o'clock visit with Dr. Ader, 11:45 chemo starts.
And then they're going to do an MRI. How long
3
after
weeks.
this? 3 weeks.
The MRI, a brain scan, will show if the latest chemotherapy is shrinking Matt's tumors.
I expect a miracle. In all honesty, I expect Matt to be healed. And I'm looking forward to that day when he is healed.
Despite the misgivings of Jory's doctor, the Zemmels opt for treatment at the other hospital.
We're going to go to Mississippi and we're going to do a procedure that's called radio frequency ablation. The doctor said he can get rid of my tumors. And it doesn't get rid of them, it doesn't cure it or anything because the tumors will come back. It doesn't get the microscopic cancer, but it'll get the tumors, the bulky tumors. It gives me a lot of hope, and it buys me some time. I try to pray just in case somebody's listening. If nobody's listening, at least you're comforting yourself in some way. If you pray hard enough, maybe there will be a miracle.
Was that the PA? Yeah. Oh, no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't Noel. It was. Being the eternal optimist, I have a plan laid out in my own mind, and I know it might not happen, but it's still my plan, and it keeps me going, keeps me fighting. I'm hopeful.
What do you do if she gets to a point where she says, I don't want to keep doing it anymore?
Well, I have to, at that time, I'd have to decide whether I feel that that's her definitive answer on that, and that's not going to change, or whether that's a temporary thing, just because she might temporarily be sick, vomiting. I think she can handle that. If it's a sustained, persistent, chronic kind of problem that looks like there's no turning back from this, well, then we go back to the drawing board. I don't want her to go through eternal pain with this, and I don't want her to suffer. I don't want to put her through torture, but at the same time, I want her to live, and that's where I'm at with this.
Well, you have to look at the others, yeah.
Dr. Patrick Sewell reviews Jory's latest scans.
To the muscle here on the back, right along the spine, and that's what's causing her pain.
The tumors are growing close to major arteries and are too big to be treated in one operation.
We can treat all of that. I'd hope to do it all in one setting, but these two tumors alone may take into tomorrow night.
Starting the morning
Yeah.
to tomorrow night.
It's
Talking about 12 hours? How?
well, we'll go as long as we can.
How do you go that long?
We'll go as long as we can. It's not based on me, it's based on how long can she tolerate the anesthesia. As soon as she can tolerate being put to sleep again, then we'll go after the left side.
He said it could have been a day to another week or so before it would have blocked out the major blood vessel going to her heart and her air passage to her right lung. She really only probably had another week maybe before that would have all happened. Yeah, we got here in the nick of time.
Rays are cool. Cancer.
She certainly looked more beautiful than we did.
Bye, princess.
See you soon.
You're gonna be okay.
We're taking care of her.
Radiofrequency ablation destroys cancer cells by inserting a hot probe into the tumor. Jory is under anesthetic throughout the procedure.
So right now what you're seeing is inside the right chest cavity, where it should be a big black area, half of its tumor and half of its functioning lung. That's what we're faced with, so that's what we're going to treat.
45 degrees medial.
Yeah, maybe just this one for this mass and then another one for the other mass. Okay.
14 hours later, and only the largest tumor has been treated. Over the next week, Jory has 2 more operations.
And so did everybody else.
If it takes 5 pennies to make 5 cents, how many pennies would it take to make 4 cents? Katerina, do you know? No? How many, Ege? 4. 4, that's right.
Ege still hasn't been told he has cancer. His mom, Faiza, seeks advice from psychologist Donna Copeland.
You were saying earlier that he doesn't tell you everything, and that he did want to go and talk with somebody without you there, presumably to protect you.
I know that he's not telling everything that he's thinking. Once we met a couple, the girl is 28 years old and she is cancer and she's struggling. She's having treatment for more than 5 years. And one day Ege wanted to go to them, but he wanted to go alone. And he nearly told every detail. What he said was, I know that I'm going to be healthy at the end, but my mother and father, they have to leave their job and come here. And my mother is sometimes crying when she's not with me.
Yes.
I don't want to, make them very sad. So that's why I'm all the time being strong when I'm with them. Oh my God, when I heard this, I was really very shocked because, he's trying to, make us happy, and we are trying to make him happy. I don't know, maybe it's me who's not ready, but I have to tell it before going back to our country, of course. We have to tell it. Maybe I still don't know how strong my child is. Maybe I'm wrong to think that, he may lose his hope, but I prefer being sure that he's not going to affect it badly from this word.
Matt and his family await the results of his brain scan.
How do you get that to work?
Okay. Well, Matt, your skin is slightly worse. I can show you a picture, okay? And this is the way it can kind of help you understand. It's not a lot more. In fact, these are still little tiny things, okay? You just have these little areas. But that's kind of telling us that the irinotecan we were doing, You know, it's not doing what we wanted it to do. So that's why we need to talk today about changing it and what we can do. What I was thinking of doing, that I would favor actually, would be we do the radiation if they can do it to that area to a reasonable dose. And then we'd go on, also have them on the oral VP16. Remember I told you about that? Yeah. You know, it's a pill. Daily, and you take it for 3 weeks with a week off.
If I were getting the radiation, and would I be taking those pills at the same time, the pill form chemotherapy, or would I take that afterwards?
No, you can get it at the same time. Now again, there are some other options, experimental drugs. I mean, we're getting down to things that, you know, it would just be trying something without any real evidence, you know, but with the hope it might be helpful. Yeah. Sorry, we're sort of disappointed. But again, Matt, we're thinking of things to try to help you, okay? I guess I'm trying to write a fine line, and we are talking about life and death things, but we're not using a lot of blunt words with it. You know, I need to let him kind of come to me and ask questions as we go along.
Today, when we went to Dr. Ada's office, and we got the results of the MRI, yeah, it came back, and you know, we were really hopeful that things would be good, but it came back that the tumors had grown just a little bit. And so, I mean, that was disappointing. But now what we're going to try next is radiation. I get to come home every day, and I get the weekends off, and so I think it's a much better deal.
In the 2 years of her illness, Jory's had 10 operations.
Mom, what's the date?
The 29th, 11/29.
Now, just a month after Jory's last treatment, a new tumor's been discovered, and she's considering going back to Mississippi.
I'm not quite sure how big it is, but it's like maybe that big, and it kind of wraps around, it extends. It's sort of weird. It wraps around my liver, sort of. This tumor is very uncomfortable for me. I just pretty much have pain everywhere. And so I'm on morphine, and I've been on that for months and months.
Sometimes it's agonizing for her, and I see it now more than earlier on that she's tired of fighting this battle. And that's when we talk about it. Okay, is it still worth living? And so far she's responded that it is.
There does come a time when I guess you really have to surrender to the disease. If you've played all your cards, I don't know. We're getting into an area where I think Jory will make that decision, and I won't really have to.
Take any emotion, love for a woman or grief for a loved one, or what I'm going through, fear and pain from a deadly illness. If you hold back on the emotions, if you don't allow yourself to go all the way through them, you can never get to being detached. You're too busy being afraid. You're afraid of the pain, you're afraid of the grief, you're afraid of the vulnerability that loving entails. Maury stopped and looked me over, perhaps to make sure I was getting this right. I know you think this is just about dying, he said, but it's like I keep telling you, when you learn how to die, you learn how to live. Don't let go yet, I added quickly. Maury forced a smile. No, not yet. We still have work to do.
Good job.
Matt begins a month of radiation in a bid to slow down the growth of his tumors.
We don't talk about, death much with Matt. I mean, he knows that if treatments aren't successful, that, that's where cancer, ends up. But anytime I've kind of broached the subject a little bit, he doesn't seem real open to it. So I listen to him for what he's ready to talk about.
If it comes to the point where determining continuing treatments or not, obviously it'll be a discussion between his mother, myself, and him included. If Matthew came to us tomorrow and said, I don't want to do this anymore, then we wouldn't do that. We would honor his wishes. It's his life. It's him that's living with the cancer. We are, in a way, but we're not the ones that have it. And I think that he should have the ultimate say over his life, even though he's a child. It's his life.
As much as I trust and appreciate Matt's opinion, I would say it would have very large influence on our decision, but I also know that Sue and I as parents, and even Monty, are the parents, and we are the grown-ups, and so we would have to take all the information involved in this decision and decipher it and decide whether we think it's worth him going on.
In Mississippi, Jory learns that her latest tumor cannot be treated by radiofrequency ablation. The doctors suggest major surgery.
Bad things can happen, when you go into surgery really weak. But the bottom line is I need to get the tumor removed, and then I can build myself up.
You're young. It's not very common for young people to have something like a heart attack or a stroke. That doesn't mean that you couldn't have some bad complication, a complication that could be serious enough that it could take your life, all right? You don't have to do this unless you want to.
Mm.
This has got to be something that you're comfortable with. It's fine that your parents want you to have it done. It's okay that I'm agreeable to do it, but I want you to feel that this is a decision that you've been able to play a part in and that you're comfortable with that decision. Are you?
Yes.
Okay. And you all are comfortable allowing her to make that decision?
Yes, it's
okay.
important.
Confidence in you and her.
Good.
You do it for yourself, and you do it for the people who love you and who care about you. And it's really, you just take it one step at a time, and it's really hard, but there's always people supporting me, and you don't really have much of a choice. It's either try to live or die, and I'm only 14. I don't want to die now, so.
You go ahead and put it right there.
And I know that my odds aren't very good, but I might, if I have even a slim chance, so you might as well go for it.
Great. All right. Do you want to sign it too?
Once it gets to a certain point where there's no hope, and I don't want to suffer, and I don't want to be dying on chemo and sick or just doing some experimental thing. I want to be at home with my family, with my loved ones.
Bye, sweetie.
After 4 hours of surgery, Jory's tumor was removed. 1 week later, she went home for Christmas. Jory died peacefully. on New Year's Day.
To be surrounded by the people that love you the most, and to be in your own home when you die, I think that's the best way to die.
I remember everybody in the room yelling, "We love you, Jory." Everybody. I remember Rachel and Courtney and us, and everybody was yelling it to her. I know she heard it. I know she heard it.
I don't know if it had been me in her situation, if I would have gone to Mississippi the second time. But she just was not willing to give in, even if it took its toll on her. And that was my yardstick. She was smart enough to know what it entailed, and we would discuss it all and the pros and the cons. And then if she decided to continue with fighting, I respected that.
Jory's strength was such that, and her will to live was such that it was easy in a way for us to do this. And, you know, I mean, because of that, if we had had a child that said, you know, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to have whatever time I have left and just try to enjoy it. And I don't think kids talk like that. I don't think kids think like that. I think kids really want to live a lot more than we would ever imagine that they do.
Matt's been amazingly happy. The other night I was tucking him in and saying goodnight to him, and he was just saying how happy he was. And I was just amazed, because that was like the day we'd gotten the news that, you know, the tumors had continued growing. And I just was like, wow, you know, the fact that he can feel happy inside and not filled with worry, which is, you know, his natural tendency, is just amazing to me.
If I could just go back through time and change everything and not have cancer at all and just go on with a normal life, I wouldn't change it, because, I mean, there's been lots of blessings that have come out of all of this, you know. Like, I've gotten a lot closer with God, and really just that you have a different perspective on life. I really just think one day at a time, you know, I just think that'll happen when it happens, and I'll face it then.